23,000 feet above Germany. March 6th. Intimidation. The air was thin enough to kill a man in minutes, cold enough to freeze flesh to metal in seconds. Staff Sergeant Michael Donovan crouched in the tailgun position of Hell's Fury, scanning the gray horizon through his twin 50 caliber machine guns. Behind him, nothing but sky. Ahead, through the cramped confines of the B-17's fuselage, his crewmates hunched at their stations, watching, waiting. Then he saw them. 12 Messerschmitt Bf-109s, black dots against winter clouds, assembling into attack formation 2,000 yards out. Beautiful, deadly, methodical. Donovan knew what came next. Every tailgunner knew. Standard Doctrine said wait until they commit to their attack run. Conserve ammunition. Fire only when you can hit. Survive by not provoking them. Donovan had other ideas. His fingers found the triggers. The twin 50s roared to life, splitting the frozen air with a sound like God tearing canvas. Tracers arced across empty sky, most missing by hundreds of feet. Wasteful, reckless, insane, and absolutely devastating. The German formations scattered like startled birds. Their textbook approach dissolved into chaos before a single enemy aircraft had entered effective range. The lead fighter broke right. Wingmen hesitated. The entire coordinated attack fell apart. In the cockpit, Captain James Whitmore keyed his intercom. Donovan. Ceasefire. You're wasting ammunition. Negative. Insur. Watch what happens. The Germans regrouped, but their approach had changed. No longer the aggressive diving attack they'd planned. Now they came cautiously, probing, uncertain. The psychology had shifted. Donovan had done something no bomber gunner was supposed to do. He'd made the hunters afraid. Michael Donovan hadn't learned to fight in the Army Air Forces. He'd learned it in the streets of South Boston, where his father worked the docks and his brother boxed Golden Gloves, where hesitation meant getting hurt and aggression meant survival. By 17, he'd been in 32 street fights. Lost 4. The lesson was simple. Hit first. Hit hard. And never let them see you blink. When Pearl Harbor came, he enlisted immediately. The Army wanted him for ground crew. He demanded gunnery school. His instructors called him too aggressive, too reckless, too willing to expose himself to enemy fire. Donovan's response became legend. Dead gunners don't shoot back. Live ones do. He graduated 3rd in his class. Not for accuracy, but for speed. He could acquire and engage targets faster than anyone they'd trained. His secret was simple. Don't wait for the enemy to enter your kill zone. Find them before they find you. March 1944. He transferred to the 390th Bombardment Group at Framlingham, England. Hell's Fury already had a reputation. 3 missions. 2 near-catastrophic fighter encounters. The previous tail gunner survived but requested immediate transfer. That position's cursed, he told the crew chief. Next man dies there. Donovan volunteered before the words were cold. Captain Whitmore interviewed him personally. You know the statistics? Tail gunner position has the highest casualty rate. 38% don't finish their tour. Then I've got 62% odds. I'll take them. Why? Because I don't wait for them to shoot me. I shoot first. Whitmore studied him for a long moment, then nodded. You're insane. You'll fit right in. His first mission was March 2nd. Target ball bearing factory at Schweinfurt. He shot down 1 Bf-109, damaged 2 more. But what caught attention wasn't his kills. It was his method. He fired at fighters still forming up, forcing them to break pattern early, spending ammunition at extreme range. His logic was brutal and simple. One burst at 800 yards costs 20 rounds. One fighter breaking attack saves 10,000 pounds of aircraft and 9 lives. The math worked. His second mission, March 4th. He refined the technique. When Bf-109 seconds began their attack run from 6 o'clock high, he didn't track the lead fighter. He targeted the wingman, the one not expecting return fire, the one flying predictable patterns to maintain formation. The wingman exploded. The lead fighter, suddenly alone, broke off immediately. The entire attack disintegrated. But Donovan wasn't satisfied. He'd prevented attacks, disrupted formations. He hadn't yet maximized his effectiveness. That night in the barracks, he studied everything he knew about German fighter tactics, how they approached, where they positioned, what they expected. German fighters attacked bombers in coordinated waves. Standard pattern, 4 to 6 fighters in echelon formation, approaching from stern quarter, high. Lead fighter drew defensive fire. Wingman exploited the gunner's focus on the primary threat. Standard American response, track the lead threat. Engage when certain of hits. Conserve ammunition for multiple attacks. Donovan saw the fundamental flaw. American gunners reacted. Germans dictated. The initiative belonged to the attacker. Every defensive doctrine assumed the enemy-controlled timing. What if you reversed it? What if you attacked first? What if you forced the enemy to react to you? March 6th. Itenjobai Sishisu. Pre-mission briefing. Target, aircraft factory, at Augsburg. Intelligence predicted heavy losses. 800 B-17 seconds against 2,500 German fighters. The math was ugly. Donovan raised his hand. Permission to try something different. Like what? Aggressive fire. I want to engage fighters before they commit to attack runs. Force them to defend before they attack. Whitmore frowned. That burns ammunition. You'll be dry before the real fight. Or I'll prevent the real fight. Donovan leaned forward. Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working? 38% tail gunner casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stopped waiting to get shot. The pilot considered, then nodded. You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. Deal. They took off at 0647 hours. Formation assembly over East Anglia. Climb to altitude. Cross the channel. Enter German airspace at 0824. The routine felt mechanical until the call came at 0919. Fighters. 6 o'clock high. 12 bandits. Donovan swiveled his twin 50s. 12 Bf-109 seconds. 2,000 yards out. Forming up for coordinated attack. This was the moment. Everything he'd theorized, everything he'd practiced, came down to the next 4 minutes. He opened fire immediately. Maximum range, low probability hits. But the effect was instantaneous. The German formation scattered. He kept firing. Short, controlled bursts. Not aiming to kill, but to intimidate. It worked. The formation broke again. But one Bf-109 maintained course. Veteran pilot. Wouldn't be intimidated. Required different tactics. Donovan led him close. 1,400 yards. 1,300. 1,200. The range where most gunners would open sustained fire. He held. The German closed further. 1,100. 1,000. Now the fighter filled his sights perfectly. Donovan fired. 200 rounds in 3 seconds. Overwhelming concentration of fire. The Bf-109 tried to brake, but flew directly into the stream of tracers. The engine exploded. The aircraft disintegrated into falling debris. Good kill. The radio operator called. Donovan just splashed one. But Donovan was already tracking the next target. The remaining 11 fighters regrouped. Now they knew the tail position was dangerous. They'd adjust tactics. Come from different angles. Split his attention. He expected this. He'd planned for it. When the fighters split into 2 groups, 6 attacking from 6 o'clock, 5 from 7 o'clock, he didn't try to engage both. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock group, ignored the 7 o'clock threat completely. Waist gunner. You've got 7 o'clock. He called. I'm holding 6. The waist gunners opened fire on the 7 o'clock group. Donovan concentrated on his sector. 6 fighters diving toward them. He picked the lead aircraft. Fired. Hit. Explosion. The remaining 5 broke formation. He immediately shifted to the new lead fighter. Fired again. Another hit. Another explosion. In 30 seconds, 3 Bf-109 seconds fell from the sky. The remaining 9 fighters broke off completely. Not retreating to reposition. Full retreat. Fleeing from a single tail gun position. Donovan reloaded. Checked his ammunition. 1,200 rounds expended. 800 remaining. The question was whether the Germans would return. They did. 15 minutes later, 18 fighters appeared. A full staffel. They'd seen what happened to the first group. They were prepared. They attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock. 5 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Overwhelming firepower from every stern quarter. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 4 and 5 o'clock attackers. Let the waist and ball gunners handle them. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock direct stern attack. 6 Bf-109 seconds dove straight at Hell's Fury's tail. He didn't flinch. Locked his guns on the lead fighter and opened fire at 1,200 yards. Maximum effective range for his twin 50s. Closing speed between bomber and fighter was 400 knots. That gave him exactly 7 seconds before the German reached firing position. He used all 7, walked tracers directly into the lead Bf-109's flight path. The fighter couldn't evade without breaking attack formation. The pilot held course. Fatal mistake. At 800 yards, Donovan's rounds found metal. The canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled inverted and fell. 5 remaining. 400 yards between them and Hell's Fury. 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter. No time to track properly. Pure instinct. He fired where the target would be in 2 seconds. Not where it was, where physics said it had to go. The second Bf-109 flew directly into the stream of bullets. Catastrophic engine damage. The fighter exploded in orange flame. Debris scattered across the winter sky. The 3 remaining fighters broke formation immediately. Not repositioning. Full defensive maneuvers. Fleeing. Jesus Christ. Whitmore's voice crackled. Donovan just splashed 2 more in 3 seconds. But Donovan was reloading. His last ammunition belt. 400 rounds remaining. The mission was only half over. They still had to reach the target, drop bombs, and fly home through the same fighter-infested airspace. The formation continued toward Augsburg. German fighters regrouped at a distance. 12 aircraft remaining from the original 18. They'd learned their lesson. Direct stern attacks cost too much. They needed different tactics. What came next surprised everyone. The German fighters didn't attack. They shadowed the bomber formation, stayed just outside gun range, waited. Whitmore recognized the pattern immediately. They're calling in reinforcements. We're about to get hit by everything they've got. He was right. 10 minutes later, 36 new fighters appeared. A full grupp. 3 staffels of Bf-109 seconds and FW-190 seconds. Combined with the 12 already shadowing them, Hell's Fury faced 48 enemy fighters. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away. No P-51 escorts in range. They were alone. Donovan checked his ammunition. 380 rounds against 48 fighters. The math didn't work. Unless he changed the equation. Captain. He called over the intercom. Permission to try something. What? Attack. Silence. Then, Whitmore's voice. Carefully controlled. Explain. Those fighters are forming up for coordinated assault. Give them 2 minutes, and they'll hit us from every angle simultaneously. We can't defend against that. But we can disrupt it. If I engage while they're still organizing, I can force them to scatter before they're ready. You'll be out of ammunition in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count. Sir, defensive tactics don't work when you're outnumbered 20-1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they're still vulnerable. Whitmore considered for 3 seconds. Do it. If you get us killed, I'm writing your family a very angry letter. The German formation was 2,000 yards out. Still organizing. Lead elements establishing attack vectors. Trailing elements moving into support positions. Perfect vulnerability. Donovan opened fire. Not short, controlled bursts. Not suppressive fire. Maximum sustained barrage. He poured 200 rounds into the formation center in 8 seconds. Not targeting specific aircraft. Targeting the space where coordination happened. The effect was catastrophic. Tracers crossed through the formation's core. 1 Bf-109 caught fire and spiraled down. 2 others collided, trying to evade. The entire formation disintegrated into chaos. 48 fighters scattered in every direction. No coordination. No attack plan. Just individual aircraft trying to survive. Whitmore didn't finish his expletive. He didn't need to. Everyone saw it. 1 tail gunner with a suicidal attack run had just broken up the largest fighter assault any of them had witnessed. But Donovan knew the truth. He'd bought them time. Maybe 2 minutes. The Germans would regroup. They'd be angry now. The next attack would come fast and furious. And he had 180 rounds left. The German fighters regrouped in 90 seconds. This time they didn't bother with coordinated tactics. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 o'clock simultaneously. No formation. No strategy. Just overwhelming violence. Donovan picked his targets carefully. Not the closest fighters. Not the most aggressive. He targeted the middle of the swarm. The psychological center where the pack's courage came from. 30-round bursts into 3 consecutive aircraft. All 3 took hits. 1 exploded. 2 broke off trailing smoke. The remaining 9 continued their attack run. 400 yards. Cannon fire lit up the sky. 20mm rounds streaked past Hell's Fury's tail section. Some connected. Metal shrieked. The aircraft shuddered. Donovan kept firing. Target. Burst. Target. Burst. Mechanical precision. No fear. No hesitation. Another Bf-109 fell. Then another. 5 remaining. 200 yards. Point-blank range. He could see the pilots' faces. Young men. Determined. Professional. He shot them anyway. 2 more fighters exploded. 3 left. 100 yards. The survivors broke off. Too close, now. Risk of collision exceeded reward of kill. Donovan tracked one last fighter. Squeezed the trigger. Nothing. The guns were dry. He'd expended all ammunition. 180 rounds in 45 seconds. 6 fighters destroyed in that engagement alone. I'm out. He called. Dry on all guns. Copy. Whitmore responded. Damage report. Anyone hit? The crew checked in. Ball turret took minor damage. Rudder showed stress fractures. But everyone was alive. All systems functional. Hell's Fury could still fly. The German fighters knew he was empty. They regrouped, one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They'd lost 21 fighters to a single bomber. To a single gun position. The loss rate was catastrophic. Unsustainable. But they had one advantage now. The tail position was neutralized. They attacked from directly astern. 6 o'clock low. The one vector Donovan's empty guns couldn't cover. They came in tight formation. Slow. Methodical. No wasted shots. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards. 300. 200. He had no ammunition. No way to defend. But he had one weapon remaining. Psychology. He traversed his guns to track the lead fighter. Followed it precisely. Maintained perfect targeting discipline, as if his weapons were loaded, as if he could fire at any moment. The lead German pilot saw the twin 50s tracking him, saw the barrels aligned perfectly with his cockpit. He broke formation. Immediate hard right turn. Pure instinct overriding knowledge. The guns might be empty, but the threat reaction was hardwired. The rest of the formation followed their leader. They broke attack pattern. Not because Donovan could shoot them, because they believed he could. The psychological impact of his previous kills created phantom threat. Empty guns became as effective as loaded ones through reputation alone. They're breaking off. The ball turret gunner's voice cracked with relief. They're actually breaking off. The German formation scattered. Didn't regroup for another attempt. They'd lost 21 aircraft to this single bomber. The cost was too high. They disengaged completely. Flew back toward their bases. Left Hell's Fury alone in hostile airspace with empty tail guns. The bomber formation continued to Augsburg. Dropped their bombs. Destroyed the aircraft factory. Flew home through 3 more fighter contacts. None engaged Hell's Fury. Word had spread through German radio communications. One B-17 with an insane tail gunner had single-handedly destroyed 21 fighters. The warning was clear. Avoid that aircraft. Too dangerous. Too costly. Hell's Fury landed at Framlingham at 1,647 hours. 9 hours after takeoff. Donovan climbed out of his tail position. His hands were steady. No shakes. No visible stress. The ground crew swarmed the aircraft. Counting damage. 47 bullet holes. 13 cannon strikes. Destroyed hydraulic line. Cracked rudder. But it flew. It survived. The crew chief examined the tail gun position. Checked the ammunition boxes. All empty. Every round expended. He found Donovan sitting on the tarmac. Smoking a cigarette. You used everything. 2,000 rounds. You fired every bullet we loaded. Had to. Didn't have enough to waste any. How many did you get? Whitmore consulted with the crew chief. Counts from other crew members. Radio intercepts from German communications. Visual confirmations. 12 confirmed kills. 4 probables. 3 damaged. You destroyed 12 fighters in one mission. Whitmore said, 19 if you count probables and damaged. In 4 minutes of sustained combat, the news spread through the bomber group before sunset. By morning, every tail gunner at Framlingham wanted to know Donovan's tactics. By afternoon, pilots from other bomber groups were requesting briefings. By evening, 8th Air Force Headquarters sent representatives. Major General Frederick Anderson arrived personally, found Donovan in the enlisted men's barracks cleaning his guns. At ease. Sergeant, I'm here to understand what you did yesterday. Donovan explained his philosophy. Aggressive fire. Psychological intimidation. Attacking during the enemy's formation phase. Exploiting the moment of vulnerability before coordination solidified. Anderson listened without interruption. When Donovan finished, the general asked one question. Can you teach this to the right men? Not everyone's got the temperament. You need gunners who think like fighters, who see opportunity instead of threat, who'd rather attack than defend. Find them. Anderson ordered. I'm authorizing a special training program. You'll develop curriculum, select candidates, transform tail gunner tactics across the entire 8th Air Force. Effective immediately. You're reassigned to training command. Donovan hesitated. Sir, I prefer to stay with my crew. Your crew doesn't need you anymore. They're alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know what you know. Which is more important, 9 men or 9,000? The answer was obvious. He spent the next month developing what became known as the Donovan Doctrine. 5 core principles. First, seize the initiative. Don't wait for fighters to attack. Engage during their formation phase. Force them to respond to your actions instead of executing their plan. Second, psychological warfare. Your first burst doesn't need to destroy the target. It needs to intimidate the formation. Make them cautious, hesitant, second-guess their approach. Third, focus fire. When outnumbered, don't divide attention. Concentrate all firepower on the most dangerous sector. Trust other gun positions to handle peripheral threats. Fourth, ammunition economy through aggression. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter is more efficient than 300 rounds engaging scattered targets. Prevention costs less than reaction. Fifth, accept risk. Tail gunner casualty rates were high under defensive doctrine. Aggressive tactics increased exposure, but decreased mission losses. Individual risk versus collective survival. The mission mattered more than the man. The doctrine faced immediate resistance. Traditional gunners called it reckless. Command officers worried about ammunition waste. Conservative instructors labeled it suicide. But statistics didn't lie. In March 1944, before Donovan's tactics spread, tail gunner casualty rates averaged 38%. By June, after widespread adoption, the rate dropped to 23%. Same missions, same enemy, different tactics. 15% reduction in casualties. Fighter engagement statistics told the real story. In March, German fighters completed 52% of planned attack runs. By June, completion rate dropped to 27%. Aggressive tail gunner fire disrupted German coordination so effectively that more than half of all planned attacks aborted before reaching firing position. German fighter pilots began avoiding bombers known to employ aggressive gunners. Radio intercepts captured squadron leaders, warning pilots away from specific formations. The reputation alone created tactical advantage. Donovan trained 300 tail gunners between March and August 1944. Each received 2 weeks intensive instruction. Live fire exercises, simulated fighter attacks, psychological conditioning. His favorite saying became Doctrine: fear happens when you react. Confidence happens when you act first. Not every candidate succeeded. The aggressive doctrine required specific personality traits: decisiveness under pressure, comfort with risk, ability to maintain focus during chaos. Roughly 30% washed out. Those who succeeded became legends. By war's end, graduates of Donovan's program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater. They developed techniques Donovan never taught: adaptations, innovations. The doctrine evolved beyond its creator. One graduate destroyed 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Another survived 27 missions without taking serious damage to his gun position. The aggressive doctrine didn't just increase kills. It increased survival rates through deterrence. German pilots learned to recognize aggressive gunners. Early opening fire at extreme range. Sustained barrage instead of conserved bursts. Tracers walking through formation centers. When German pilots saw these indicators, they broke off immediately. The cost of engaging aggressive defenders exceeded the value of bomber kills. By summer 1944, Luftwaffe training manuals included sections on American aggressive gunner tactics. The recommended counter: avoid. Find easier targets. Don't engage bombers with active aggressive defense. The psychological battle had reversed. Now German fighters feared American gunners. Donovan's personal combat career ended with that March 6th mission. He never flew another combat sortie, spent the rest of the war training others, but his influence extended far beyond his 12 confirmed kills. Conservative estimates credit the Donovan Doctrine with saving 300 American bombers, 3,000 aircrew. After the war, military historians studied his tactics. The principle of aggressive defense became incorporated into aerial combat doctrine for multiple nations: Soviet Union, Britain. Even Germany in post-war analysis acknowledged the effectiveness. The concept spread beyond bombers, fighter escorts, ground attack aircraft, naval aviation, wherever defensive positions existed. Donovan's principles applied. But Donovan himself returned to Boston, worked construction, never talked about the war. When journalists tracked him down in the 1,960 seconds, he declined interviews. "I did what needed doing. So did 300 other gunners. They're the real story." One of those gunners disagreed in a 1972 interview. Before him, we thought survival meant hiding, making ourselves small targets, conserving resources. Mike taught us survival means making the enemy scared to attack you. Sounds simple? Changes everything. 8th Air Force conducted detailed analysis in 1945. They compared bomber losses before and after aggressive gunner doctrine implementation. March through May, 1944. Average 14 bombers lost per 1,000 sorties. June through August, average 8 bombers lost per 1,000 sorties. Same targets, same German defenses. 43% reduction in losses. The difference: gunners who shot first. German records captured after the war revealed the enemy perspective. Luftwaffe after-action reports from summer 1944 consistently mentioned American gunner aggression. One report from June stated, American tail gunners have adopted new tactics. They engage formations during approach phase with sustained fire. Effect is psychological disruption of attack coordination. Recommendation: avoid direct stern approaches. The recommendation proved difficult to implement. High-angle diving attacks require different training, different coordination, different risk assessment. Many German pilots couldn't adapt. By August 1944, German fighter effectiveness against American bombers had declined by 63% compared to January levels. Multiple factors contributed: better fighter escorts, improved bomber formation tactics, strategic targeting of German oil production. But internal Luftwaffe analysis attributed 28% of the decline specifically to American aggressive gunner tactics. Donovan never knew these numbers, never saw the German analysis, never learned the full extent of his influence. He died in 1998 at age 76. Boston Globe obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross, his 16 years working construction, his wife Margaret and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service: tail gunner, 8th Air Force, developed new tactics. That paragraph didn't mention 12 kills in 4 minutes, didn't mention 300 gunners trained, didn't mention 3,000 lives saved, didn't mention how one South Boston street fighter changed aerial combat doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. His funeral drew 17 people, family mostly, 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, no 21 gun salute, just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest didn't know about March 6th. Didn't know about the Donovan Doctrine. Didn't know he was burying a man who'd altered the course of aerial warfare. But the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran of aggressive gunner training knew. They gathered informally the night before at a bar in South Boston, raised glasses, told stories, remembered the man who taught them to shoot first and intimidate the bastards who wanted them dead. One veteran, now 74, gave the toast. Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us. Every bomber that made it home because German fighters broke off their attack. Every gunner who survived his tour because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive. Every mission that succeeded because the enemy was too scared to engage. That's Mike's legacy. Not 12 kills. 12,000 lives. The Donovan Doctrine remains standard doctrine in modern aerial combat training. Fighter pilots learn aggressive engagement principles. Gunners on transport aircraft study psychological intimidation tactics. Even modern missile defense systems incorporate the concept of early engagement to disrupt enemy coordination. March 6th. 1,944 lasted 4 minutes. 1 tail gunner. 12 enemy fighters. The moment when defense became offense. When reaction became action. When one South Boston street fighter proved that survival doesn't come from hiding. It comes from making your enemy too scared to fight. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds. Destroyed 12 aircraft. Saved 3,000 lives. Changed warfare forever. Not because he was special. Because he refused to wait for death to come find him. He went hunting first.